Hello and welcome to my channel. In this video, I'm going to take you through the kind of mindset that you should build for you to implement a core banking system, or for you to do a core banking system changeover, which means you're changing over from the old system to the new system. I've been implementing core banking systems for a long time, about 2 decades for now, and I want to share with you this experience so that you become better in your next core banking system changeover or core banking system project. So let's move on. So in this section of the video, we're going to cover the cluster number 7, which is testing in a core banking project implementation. So let us look at what we're going to cover in this cluster in terms of mindset. We're going to cover SIT components, the testing journey, also how to handle defects, the dress rehearsal mindset, and also the go live. So let us go through them one by one. So the first mindset that we are looking at is SIT proofs components work. UAT proofs business can operate. So you should be able to differentiate between these two components or testing. SIT is mostly on the technical side. That is on integration, on channels, and also within the system. Are the components working according to expectation? So SIT is 90% technical, 10% maybe probably business, where you call them just to verify some things. But in most cases, you find it might be even 100% technical. Then UAT, this is where the business now is coming in to test and prove that the system can work and operate according to their requirements and also according to their expectations. So why does it matter? So SIT proves the technical, components. This is what I was saying. They work together. Only UAT is going to prove the actual business can use the system to run operations. So that is why it matters. So this is a very important mindset. SIT must be on the component side, and then UAT must be on the business side. So what goes wrong if this is ignored? This mindset of SIT and UAT is ignored. The project is going to celebrate SIT, whilst users cannot complete a business journey. So if you ignore this, you're going to have SIT as complete, but the users cannot operate or they cannot use the system. So what is the correct mindset? The correct mindset is both are necessary. Both SIT and UAT, they are necessary, but they answer different readiness questions. SIT is technical, UAT is business. So let us look at a scenario. SIT completes with a high pass rate, and the team is tempted to treat that as sufficient proof of readiness. But business users, they brought in the first time during UAT, immediately struggle to complete transactions the SIT never thought to test. So there must be some coordination or some handshake between SIT and UAT. As you can see from here, from this example, the SIT has completed pass, but users, they can't use the system. They are failing to operate it. So that makes it very difficult. So what are the practical actions that we can apply here? We need to treat sign-off as UAT entry get, not a substitute for UAT. So SIT sign-off should be an entry get or criteria to UAT. So once you finish your SIT, you should be able to start your UAT. Don't treat it as a substitute for UAT. Then number 2, ensure UAT is scoped and executed, and also executed by actual business users. Don't be tempted to use technical guys to do UAT or even vendors to do UAT. And I've seen there's an approach to automate some of this testing, but I can advise you where it's applicable. Try to have at least some human intervention in terms of testing to confirm that the business is working very well. Then the other practical action is also you take SIT and UAT as distinct phases and non-overlapping success criteria. Let me tell you. So when it comes to SIT, is supposed to be done first, which means you do your build for the functionality, you do your SIT, you do the build for the integration, then you initiate SIT. You want to make sure all the components, they are working once they are connected. And then once all that is done, now you can move it to here because business users, they test the system the way they are going to serve the customers. So you cannot tell them that don't test mobile banking, but try to test it only in core banking system. To them, you're confusing them. They are business people. They test it according to business. So let's move on to the next one. So the next one is test cases must follow a real banking journey. This is very important. I've seen some test cases which are just based on, I don't know whether people they just take it from AI or from Google or something else. You find they're not even related to what the bank is actually doing. You know what I've seen with these after working so many regions, what I've seen with these banking products and environments, they differ from environment to environment. So never take a test case which was working somewhere and you think automatically it's going to be plug and play into another market. It might fail. So it must be based on the real banking journey of that particular customer during the implementation. So why does it matter? Isolated functional tests can all pass, while realistic multi-step gen customers and staff actually follow completed and untested journey. So what does it mean? Don't isolate your testing, okay, into something else. It must follow the actual journey. Say, for example, it's customer opening or account opening. What is the journey in terms of customer opening, in terms of account opening? So that is what must be created as part of the test cases. Otherwise, if you create something else, it will not save the bank. So what goes wrong when this is ignored? You find test cases, they validate screens, but they do not, but not end-to-end operation. Your test case is just to see if the screens are displaying right. You can capture, but is it the actual journey that is going to be followed when you open, when you go live? So, what is the correct mindset for the project manager? CBS testing cutover, CBS testing must cover account opening, deposits, withdrawals, loans, approvals, reversals, close of business, co-op, reports, and also channels. So this is very important. The test cases must cover all the areas that are going to be used when you go live. So if you're going to use the system for withdrawals, you need to have test cases for that. If it's going to be for leads, if it's going to be for approvals, if it's going to be for credit, reversals, reports, close of business, you must make sure that you have test cases to cover that. Then let us look at one scenario, okay? Every individual test case for account opening, okay? Card issues, mobile activation independently, okay? They must pass independently. Nobody tested the real journey. A customer opening account requests a code, a card, and activating mobile banking in one sitting until a branch tries it live. So it means if you don't test the end to end, the journey, it's only going to be tested when you go live, and you won't have enough time to resolve these issues. So, what are the practical actions? Okay, you need to design test cases around real end-to-end business journey, not isolated functions. So you should be able to design test cases from end to end. Number two, you also need to involve frontline staff in the journey because they know how they're going to use the system, they know how they're going to operate. So frontline team is very important to involve when it comes to test case development. In some cases, you can also even use them to test. Then you also need to prioritize the journey based on tests and combine multiple products or channels. Okay. So if a journey is very important, you need to prioritize it. You combine products or channels to make it successful. Let's move on to the next one. We're going to cover. You're enjoying the video so far. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to click the like button, subscribe button, and the notification button so that you're the first person to be notified each time a new video is uploaded on this channel. It will help this channel to grow. It will also help this channel to produce more videos like this one. So the third mindset that we have in this cluster is defects must be prioritized by business impact, not technical preference. So when you say a business is in terms of severity, in terms of priority, it must be done based on business impact, not on a technical preference. So why does it matter? Fixing defects in order of technical convenience rather than business impact. It risks leaving the highest risk issues unresolved. Okay, so if you are fixing issues based on technical impact, yes, technically you might have a solution, but what is going to save the customers of the bank? It is the business setup. So it must be resolved or prioritized based on business impact. So defects must be based on business impact. This is very important, not just a technical preference. Because mostly, if you can resolve something technically, you can forget the business need. So what goes wrong if this is ignored? If this is ignored, you find that severity debates waste time and critical defects remain open. So if people are focusing more on the technical preference, you find people they debate on severity. Is it something that is high priority, medium, high, or low? Which is not supposed to be the case, because if you look at the business part of it, you should be able to classify the severity from there. So, what is the correct mindset for the PM? Is a small technical defect can carry major customer or regulatory or even finance impact. So, you should always assess these defects. What is the implication on regulatory, on finance, and also on customer? Then we look at the scenario. So, scenario here is the development team works through defects in order they were logged. A cosmetic UI issue gets fixed before a critical defect that miscalculates interest because the UI issue was simply logged first. So when issues are being logged, you're testing during core banking implementation, you need to prioritize these issues based on business impact, not technical. Otherwise, you might resolve a minor issue, which is technical, and you leave out a very major issue, which is a business. So, what actions should we take from here? You need to establish a defect triaging forum with business representative, not just technical, which means you sit with the business, look at the issue, prioritize it. Is it something high impact, low impact, or even medium? That is very important. You also need to prioritize defects by customer and financial impact. If something is going to affect the customer or it is going to affect the financial side of it, then you have to make sure that this is also prioritized. You also need to review defects backlog regularly against business criticality. Okay, what does it mean? It means if something is critical in a business, you have to prioritize it. Okay, when you go to the backlog, like what I normally do in my projects, almost every week for every work stream, we have this backlog assessment or review, which is very very important. So let's move on to the next one. So the next mindset is on dress rehearsal. Dress rehearsal is the closest truth before go live. This is very important. So dress rehearsing, we are saying you want to do exactly what you're going to do when you go live. You're not going live as yet, but you want to act as if you're going live. So that is also very, very important. So dress rehearsal, actually the testing process is SIT testing, then you have your UAT testing, then you have dress rehearsal. You'll find that dress rehearsal is going to encompass so many other participants, and most of them, they were not part of the original project team. The advantage of doing that is you're going to involve more people, and they're going to test different scenarios. So why does it matter? Dress rehearsal is the only rehearsal that combines timing, sequencing, and real-time execution. It is closest evidence to on how you're going to cut over, which is very, very important. So dress rehearsal, you're pretending as if you're going live. So what goes wrong when this is ignored? Okay, what goes wrong is teams they treat rehearsal as another test cycle instead of go live simulation. So dress rehearsal, it's better you stop if you're no longer dress racing. Otherwise, it becomes like another UAT. Dress racing, we are following exactly, if it's a run book for data migration, you're following exactly what you're supposed to do when you go live. So what is the correct mindset for the project manager? Dress rehearsal test timing, sequence, ownership, communication, data, branches, and also support. So during dress rehearsal, you're also keeping your timing to check if you are going live in 3 or 4 days. Are you going to make it? Ownership, who is supposed to own what? when you go live, who is supposed to own, say, for example, printer setup, who is going to own interface setup, who is going to own customer support, who is going to own the communication, who is going to own the data, and so on and so forth. Let us look at a scenario. Individual components, migration interfaces, reconciliations have each passed their own test separately. The first time they are all run together in sequence under time pressure is the dress rehearsal. Okay, and it reviews 2 hour timing gap nobody captured or anticipated. So what does it mean? It means when you're doing the migration, okay, migration, the interfaces, and the reconciliation, they are all done separately. But when you put them together, there's going to be a delay of 4 hours. So dress rehearsal is also very important. It tests all these other scenarios. Then what are the practical actions? Is to run dress rehearsal as a full timed and also end-to-end simulation. Then you can also use the same team and rows that will execute when you go live. Dress rehearsal, you use the rows that are going to be executed when you go live. Then you also need to treat dress rehearsal timing gaps as a risk. It means you won't be able to make it. So if your dress rehearsal timing, the margin is too big, then it means you have to improve something. Otherwise, you won't make it when it comes to cut over. So let's move to the next one. So the next mindset when it comes to testing cluster, okay, remember we are on testing and rehearsal cluster, is go live readiness must be evidence based, not emotion based. I can tell you from my experience, when it comes to go live, there's a lot of pressure. There's pressure from either sponsor or senior management to complete the project, especially if it was overrunning in terms of budget and also time. So that pressure can force people to go live when they're not actually ready. So the best as a project manager, from my experience, is to absorb that pressure. As long as you don't have enough evidence that you can go live, then don't use your emotions to go live. Don't use the pressure from senior management to go live. It must be evidence based. Are you ready in terms of data, in terms of channels, in terms of infrastructure, in terms of training, in terms of change? Are you ready to go live? So go live readiness, this is a very important mindset. Go live readiness must be evidence based, not emotion based. So why does it matter? A go live decision made on confidence or optimism without hard evidence exposes the bank to risks that a documented readiness review would have caught. So before you go live, you need to do what is called go live readiness assessment. You are assessing. Remember, this is no longer just the activities that were being done on deliverables in a project. These are now activities to do with the bank being able to operate after that. So, what goes wrong when this is ignored? So, if this is ignored, the project goes live, okay, it goes live because the date arrived, not because it was ready. So, it will be very embarrassing that you are pushed to go live, and then on the first day of operation, you actually fail to serve the customers, especially in most of the operations. I've seen one project. I was not involved in that one, but in fact I read about it. They went live, and then after 4 days they went back to the old system. It means the readiness assessment was not done properly. If it was done properly, they were supposed to pick that operationally they cannot use the system. Okay. So what is the correct mindset for project manager? Confidence must come from objective criteria, not pressure or optimism. This is very important. You are going to be under pressure. You should absorb the pressure. I was absorbing the pressure. I can tell you it can be very immense. So you must have objective criteria to do that. And you should always absorb the pressure, okay, or optimism. There are some people who are very confident, but without evidence, it's difficult for you to recommend to go live. All right. So let us look at the scenario. In the final go or no go meeting, this is normally important. The loudest voice in the room is confident that it will be fine. Nobody in the room can actually produce the reconciliation results, defect counts, or even rehearsal timing for data needed to support that confidence with evidence. So this is the scenario. On the final go or no go meeting, There's someone who is loud and is very confident that it's fine to go live. But nobody in the room here is able to provide reconciliation results, defect counts, rehearsal timing, which means the readiness assessment is not done proper or is incomplete. All right. So, what are the practical actions or checklists? You need to require documented evidence, not opinions. Okay. For every go or no go criteria. I can tell you when it comes to go live, depending on the pressure, if it's a fixed price project, you find that the vendor is giving too much pressure to go live because they want to save on the costs. But as the customer or the bank, as long as there's no documented evidence, it's very difficult for them to accept to go live. Now, number 2, give every governance member the readiness data in advance of the decision-making meeting. So before you decide to go live, make sure each and every governance, especially your audit guys, your risk guys, your compliance guys, they have enough information to make a decision or to support the decision to go live. Number 3, allow a genuine no-go outcome to remain possible until evidence supports go. As much as there might be so much pressure, but the no-go outcome should remain possible. I was involved in one project. Everyone was confident that we might go live, but the CEO was not convinced. So we had to go back again for another month until we went live. So there must be a genuine no-go or outcome that might come out. Don't always think that is going to be approved. If you want me to create more videos based on what we have covered in this video, you can reach out to me or you can let me know in the comment section below. Thank you for watching.